Selaco is the most impressive game to run in GZ Doom, and for more reasons than one. Not only is it an incredible technical achievement that serves as a celebration of what can be achieved in the Doom modding scene, but it is also just a great game. Developed and published by Altered Orbit Studios, Selaco launched into early access on May 31st of this year. On the surface, you can tell that it takes heavy inspiration from Fear, Monolith's first-person shooter classic from 2005, just without the slow-motion bullet time stuff. But as I played through the game, I could clearly see the Half-Life and Doom 3 influences as well. The Half-Life influence can primarily be seen in the game's progression, where each area is only separated by a loading screen, and the interconnectivity from location to location is seamless. This can also be seen during the slower moments, when the vicious combat takes a back seat and the gameplay shifts to some light puzzle-solving sequences. And I can't help but compare Selaco to Doom 3, with its intercom voice during the early game and the attention to detail that was paid toward lighting and the general atmosphere. What must be mentioned most when talking about Selaco, however, is the combat. Much like in Fear, the enemy AI is very smart, and they will try to flank you and vocalize to each other. What also helps their AI to function at its highest level is how the combat spaces are designed. You see, in a vast majority of the combat areas, there are multiple paths to take, including branching pathways, multiple corridors, and the ability to break and jump through windows. What makes this approach to the game's design even greater is the simple fact that you can also use these spaces in whichever way you see fit, which also opens up the tactical aspect to Selaco's gameplay. While Selaco is definitely a run-and-gun type of shooter for the most part, there are moments when you might see an opportunity to post up in one place, or use the several props in the environment as cover. For instance, you might even be forced to rethink your strategy on the spot if opposing forces end up being more deadly than expected. This might mean that you throw out proximity grenades or landmines while you sit back. Then, when the moment is right, you run out with seething fury, gunning down whoever might be left standing. This strategizing via quick thinking is a big component to the fun that is to be had here, and it is made even better by how great the guns feel, thanks to muzzle flashes, muzzle shadows, recoil, screen shake, booming audio effects, and plenty of blood and gore. The weapon feedback in Selaco is top notch. It also helps that, much like in Fear, it is often the case that glass is shattering, things are exploding, and papers are flying all over the place. Every bullet initiates a reaction from the environment, and this makes the world all the more immersive and combat all the more satisfying. I also can't go on without mentioning that this is probably the best sprite work that I have ever seen. Every weapon sprite looks incredibly detailed and as close to lifelike as a two-dimensional image can get. It is truly astounding. To run through the arsenal, you have access to the dependable assault rifle, as well as a thunderous handgun known as the Roaring Cricket, especially deadly with headshots, and an even more thunderous shotgun, which will definitely go down in history as one of the greatest shotguns in gaming. On top of that, there is the Penetrator, which, much like the weapon of the same name from Fear, can pin enemies to walls with its projectiles, but Selaco's Penetrator is functionally more similar to the nail guns from the Quake games. There is also a rapid-fire SMG that can be upgraded to deal electric damage, but can also be dual-wielded, and god damn I got a lot of use from these dual SMGs. Then there is the grenade launcher that can be upgraded to fire more like a rocket launcher, and a plasma rifle that absolutely melts enemies like they're made of butter. One weapon that is mostly useful during a few sniper sequences is the DMR, but I think the no-scoping method of using this thing can be easily slept on, because it can actually be useful in more situations than you might think, even within tighter interior spaces, especially if you land headshots. Lastly, there is the railgun, which I unfortunately failed to find somehow. But all in all, the guns are great. Every single one is extremely fun to use, and ammo was never too tight that this became an issue, but it is tight enough that you will want to put all of these guns to use, especially when specific situations might call for it. Much like in Fear, Selaco has portable medkits that can either be found in the environment or purchased from a specific vending machine with credits. Instant use health pickups can be found as well, as can food and beverages that can be consumed to replenish a small amount of health. Selaco is also packed to the brim with secrets, and these often contain ammo caches, health items, armor pickups, and even hidden weapons. Sometimes you might find a weapon earlier in the game if you're great at secret hunting. On top of that, safe rooms can be unlocked throughout the game, and these eventually offer a means of fast traveling to previous locations in case you wanted to go back for some secrets that you have missed. But most importantly, these house terminals where weapons can be upgraded. There are multiple upgrades for each weapon, and these upgrades are purchased with weapon parts that can either be found in the environment or accumulated through completing various combat challenges that you will most likely accomplish just by playing the game naturally. Aside from this, there are also weapon kits that can be located, and these are essentially weapon modifications that change how they function. These weapon upgrades and kits add a lot of variety to combat, and they allow for the player to express themselves in multiple different ways. Another system that adds a lot to the combat is the invasion tier system. Invasion tiers are reached as the player progresses through the game, and these are announced to the player as new skills or tools that the enemy has picked up, meaning that even as you get more proficient, the enemy gets more powerful in turn. It's a unique system, and I appreciate how well it is implemented here. Aside from the incredible gameplay, Selaco is beautifully atmospheric. The soundscape is full of life and character, and I just have to provide some examples of what I'm talking about here. From the humming of fans and ventilation systems, to the sounds of computers and music, the soundscape is amazing. And this is all built upon with an insanely high attention to detail with the environments, which all feel lived in, and the fact that this has been created in GZ Doom just blows my mind. The lights, banners, posters, neon signs, and so on all help to give every space that lived-in feel. And I also really like the heavy use of voxels, which make every object feel so much more tangible and further ups the immersion factor. I should also note that the soundtrack in this game is awesome, especially the track that plays in the safe room. I mean, I can just listen to this forever, it's so good. I don't plan on reviewing a lot of early access titles, but Selaco is a game that I just had to play and talk about, and I can't wait for the future when the next 2 chapters are released to the world. Mullet Mad Jack was my game of the year when that was released, but Selaco is easily my early access game of the year so far, and I doubt that anything will come close to touching it. On a technical level and on a gameplay level, Selaco is brilliant and a must-play for fans of first-person shooters. And with that, thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please remember to like and subscribe, and dislike it if you absolutely hated it. As always, enjoy the rest of your day.